Welcome to Real Talk with Sean, everybody. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Mikey, and we are going to be discussing in my opinion, a very important topic, which is mental healing. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today, Mikey. I really appreciate you for accepting my invite.
Oh, yeah, Sean, it is definitely my pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. What does, in your words, because I was saying trauma, but I'm going to go with what you say. What do generational habits mean to you?
Gotcha. So you coming right off the bat with the questions. Jump right into it. But generational habits, to me, I grew up in the church and I learned about generational curses. And we were taught that the only thing that could break these curses was praying about it and fasting about it and all of that. And I just had to take a step back from the religious standpoint and look like, no, this is just a habit that's been passed down from generation to generation. And so when I speak about generational habits or patterns or whatever, it is the things that I've learned from the previous generations, whether it came from survival or whatever. But these are habits that no longer benefit me. And so that's basically what generational habits are.
I can agree with you on that. I mean, we do hear generational curses, but when I heard you mention generational habits, I actually feel that that actually is what it really means.
Yep.
Ever since I heard you, well, not kind of, I actually started saying that as well, as opposed to
Yeah.
generational curses. You mentioned church and growing up in church. As I know I can't put everybody in a bucket, but most blacks grew up in church. I mean,
Hmm.
back from when slavery started, it's almost like all we really had was the faith in a higher power or, God. How do you feel that church plays a part or religion in our mental health?
Man, oh, that's a loaded question because there's a lot of beautiful things that come from religion. There's a lot of beautiful things that can come from the community that comes from that comes from religion. You know, you go to church, you form a family. This is who you interconnect with. This is who you do life with. But then there's also so many damaging things within religion that teaches us to disconnect from ourselves and disconnect from humanity and only seek out God and looking at God as an external being instead of being one with you. And so there's a lot that can be damaging to us because we have to see ourselves as less than in order to see God as better than, as greater than. But it's not the case. Like we are God, we are one with God. And so if we see ourselves as separate, then we'll see God as being higher than we are. And we can only live from that standpoint. But the difference is, being able to see God as we are all interconnected and seeing the divinity in me will then make me recognize the divinity in you. So it just changes your whole scope.
Yeah, I completely understand that, and I actually agree with that. Why do you think that like blacks put so much, and I tend to use blacks a lot because that's who I can relate to more.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that blacks put so much stock in religion?
Because that's all we had. Like that was literally all we had. That's why there's a church on every corner in the hood because it was all we had. We didn't have schools. We didn't have a system that backed us. All we would bring our resources to the church house. Like that's how we would eat. That's how we would learn. That's how we would commune. So the church is all we had. And then once integration and all of that started happening, then you start to see changes and shifts within the religion, within the religious form. But that's why it's so heavily inundated because we literally had nothing else.
Yeah,
We only had religion to be able to lean on and rely on.
yeah, I definitely agree with that one. That is a fact. So when it comes to like generational habits, why do you feel that the older generations, even my generation, and I don't know your age, I believe that mental health is not just, but it hasn't been that long that we as a society have really started to pay attention on how important mental health is in our lives and who we are as individuals. Why do you think that the older generation avoided focusing on mental health and like just wanted to brush everything under the rug?
Oh, that's such a good question because they couldn't focus on that. They didn't have time. Like we literally, our ancestors, even the generation prior, I'm 34. So my mom's generation, the silent generation, they're called the silent generation because they had to get up and go to work. They didn't have time to figure out what was going on in their mental space. And it seemed like an inconvenience because we were literally just operating out of survival. We were trying to make sure ends meet. We tried to make sure we had a roof over our head. We tried to make sure that our basic needs were met. You can't focus on the next level of needs if your basic needs aren't met. So we didn't have space and opportunity. They didn't have space and opportunity to focus on mental health. And that's why we do see it emerging a little bit more because we're better off, like as crazy as it seems, we're a little bit better off than the older generations. And so we have the space and opportunity to focus on the mental health aspect of our lives because we don't have to worry about so much. We don't have to worry about how we gonna make our next meal so much. We don't have to worry so much about that. I
Yeah.
know it's still a concern, but it's not the main concern of our lives right now.
I totally agree with you and understand that because I come from probably, I'm 54, so I probably come from, in a sense, your mom's generation. So, I mean, you definitely make sense with that. Your generation has really grabbed a hold of mental health and started to put it on the forefront. What made you yourself realize, like, what made that become such an important piece of your life? Because your entire page, no matter what, guys, I love her page. When I tell you this is a young black woman that spits facts,
Oh,
and
thanks.
that is what prompted me to reach out to you because I love what you say, and you have a lot to say, and you need to keep doing it. What made you realize how important mental health was, and that you wanted to break those generational habits?
So can I be real?
I want you to be real because
Okay.
that's the only way I believe we'll help the next person.
Yeah, so in 2020, I've been married since 2013. In 2020, I had an emotional affair on my husband. And I mean, that was completely out of character for me. Completely out of character because I know who I am. Like, legitimately, I know who I am. So the fact that I did something that was so out of character prompted me to go to therapy. And with going to therapy, I realized that the person that I had formed was a person that was formed out of ego. I had not got in tune with my authentic self, and everything that I did was so performative. And that's what got me to open up. That's what got me talking. That's what got me just really stripping the layers of the bullshit that I had to become in order to protect myself in this society. And it's like, I don't want to be a fake person anymore. I want to be the person that I feel is true and authentic to myself. And I just started to do the work, and now I stand in it unapologetically.
I know that's right. I love it. So from what I gather from all that you said, at the core of all of that was learning self-love.
Mhm.
So because, I believe that self-love is should and it is really the core. It's like the ultimate goal to reach, in my opinion. It's like because when you love yourself, you don't treat people mean. You're your authentic self. You're honest and you don't make no excuses about it. There are no apologies. This is who I am. And it doesn't have any ego. It's just you being the best authentic you.
Mhm.
So when you say that, like, because you hit so many points on that, so you do believe in therapy. You believe that therapy works.
Yes, if you do the work. Because a lot of times people want to go to therapy and you want to feel validated in blaming others.
Ooh,
Therapy is not at all about blaming anybody. Like, yes, it may have happened to you, but it's your responsibility and how you're going to respond to what happened to you. And if you want to do the work on you, if you want to look at yourself, then therapy will work for you. But if you just want to be like, yeah, they did this and I got to have my boundaries and it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
and I tell you that hit the nail on the head when it comes to therapy because you have to put in the work. And a lot of times we do spend more time focusing on what whoever around us or who may have contributed, and it does matter. I
It
mean,
does
they
matter.
did play a part, but the reason you're going to therapy is to work on self
Yes.
so that you have to learn to forgive and then move forward. It doesn't mean you forget. But in
Hmm.
order to move forward, you have to, that's their problem to deal with. You're working on you. So,
Hmm.
that I do agree with you on that. How do you feel about bringing kids into the world? Because I know you also speak, and guys, I'm probably going to be all over the place because when I tell you I would love to cram so much in because on your clips you hit so many points that I could literally stay on here for hours talking to you.
Oh.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love your page. How do you feel about people that don't have that self-love that are now bringing children into this world? What do you think about that?
Ah, man. So people that bring children into the world unhealed, and I'm gonna speak first. I did it. When I was 22 years old, I had my first son, and I was so unhealed. I was borderline abusive to my son because I wanted him to be perfect.
Mhm.
So I had the pressure of society that I want my child to be perfect. And so any little thing I would whoop his ass over. And I mean, excuse my language, but I would whoop him over. And like I realized I remember one time I was driving and he had taken his seatbelt off. And I turned around and I spanked him. Like, and I'm angry. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And I spanked him and he was like, Mom, what did I do? And I realized in that moment that I did not teach him the importance of wearing a seatbelt. I just expected him to know. And then I gave him consequences because of him acting out of his ignorance. I realized right then and there I was doing this shit all wrong. I want to teach you how to navigate this life, not beat you into navigating the life. And from that moment on, he was three or four, and I never put my hands on my kid again. I said, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do corporal punishment. And realizing how unhealed I was and how I went along with status quo is what it brought me to a screeching halt. And I had to realize I had to do the work in learning how to parent. And the first person I had to parent was myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in breaking down, okay, I was just doing this out of what I've known. Like this is just what my people did. That's why I said generational habits. We got whooped. If we did something wrong, we got whooped. But what did that actually do? Nothing. It stripped me of my confidence, but it didn't teach me. So I'm going to teach my children. And we decided to homeschool, whatever. Anyways, back to the question. You said, what do I think about people bringing children into unhealed? That's how we become our children's first bullies. That's how we strip them of their confidence. We make them operate out of their ego because they have to protect themselves from us. That's all that happens when you bring your children into an unhealed version of you, not even the world, of
Yep.
you. And then you don't prepare them for the world because you're not even healed to see them as an individual that's going to have to know how to navigate the world. You just see them as your child, subservient, and they're not. They're individuals
Oh,
that one day will no longer need you. And how they show up in the world is a reflection of what you put into them.
you hit the nail on the head once again with that subservient. That is so true, and a lot of parents do that, and
Mhm.
it's so unfortunate. Which says that, and some people think that they love their self, but people really need to dig deep and do the work and understand what true self-love means because that right there is a lack of self-love, as you said. And I think that that was really big of you because part of self-love is being able to exactly say or to say exactly what you're saying right now. Like I turned around and I beat his ass.
Mhm.
Like that's self-love that because most people can't do that. Yeah, they'll say it, but they won't say that it was wrong.
Mhm.
They shouldn't have done that. And when you do put in that work to heal self and work on self, that's when you're able to be authentic and say, yeah, this is what I used to do because that's no longer who I am today.
Exactly.
That's what's most important. So I think that's another big thing. And what is conscious parenting?
So a lot of the things that we do it subconsciously. You get up, you go to work, you get up, you wake up, you brush your teeth, put your clothes on, you go to work, you do that shit subconsciously. You don't even think about that. And a lot of people don't think about the fact that you don't think about how you're parenting. It's just whatever comes up is what comes up and what comes out. So if you get in the enraged version of me, well, shit, I had a bad day. You just got to deal with it. And that is unconscious.
So
That's unconscious because you're not thinking about the consequences and the repercussions. And then you wonder why children are secretive and they're sneaky or they're bad or they're looking for community because they don't feel safe within their home because we are a lot of times unconscious. We do things unconsciously. So conscious parents is literally thinking about what you're doing and what the repercussions of it may do, what the repercussions of it may be. And so I will never become a fully conscious parent. I will just become a less unconscious parent.
I know
So
that's right.
like,
Exactly.
I got three kids,
I
and
like
each
that.
of them challenge me in different ways. And I
Yeah.
think that I'm doing excellent with my oldest child, but then, man, my middle child, he comes and he challenges me, and I'll be like, bro, back up. You know what I'm saying? But okay, you're an individual. Let me not use how you're evoking emotion, and I'm not going to make you responsible for my emotion. I'm going to deal with my emotion and then I'm going to deal with you after. It's just dealing with you first because you were given the children that you were given so that you can face off with those unconscious, unhealed versions of you.
I'm telling you, that is so true. I actually try to raise my daughters the same way, and not even try, I do it. I definitely am a conscious parent. I don't spank.
Hmm.
I don't feel that that helps anything. They can be talked to. They clearly can be talked to just like us. And my thing is, I fuck up. I make mistakes. So how can I expect them not to do it? And then beat them into submission. So I
Yeah.
mean, as you said, it just, I don't feel that that gets anything except abuse. I just don't believe in it.
I
So
agree. But I do have a question. Like Sean, when you said I fuck up. When you fuck up, who comes and beats your ass? You
exactly.
know?
And that's
It's
my
just,
point. And that's what made me, that was one of my things that I had to say to myself because there was a time that I would spank.
yeah,
I wasn't so much against it, but today, because I'm definitely a better person and I have my that self-love for myself and I do what you do. Give me a breather. Let me
hmm,
go deal with me before I respond. I try my best. Let me not say
yeah,
that because I'm not perfect. But for the most part, I'm very conscious.
yeah,
That's why I think about it first and I go away because the last thing I want to do is send unhealed or not unhealed, unprepared children that have gone through some of the things that I went through. I
yeah,
don't want to do that. I want to break those generational habits. I don't choose to pass that down to my daughters.
yeah.
So I definitely think that that's important. When it comes to the black community and it comes to corporal punishment or spankings, do you believe that the reason that we have done that and carried that on for generations is because of slavery?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember before I had kids or even right around the time that I had my oldest son, my mom taught me. She said, if you break him before he's two, you'll never have any problems out of him. And I'm just thinking, like now hearing that, it's
Yeah.
like that is rooted. Oh, it's so rooted in slavery because I've got to do it before they do it, before the slave master does it. And that's why there's grace for the Black community in that. Like, I believe that so much of what we do is unconsciously rooted in slavery, and we want to be healed and we want to be so far removed from that. But the truth of the matter is, we were ingrained in that shit for 400 years. You think we gonna two, three generations, four generations, five generations is gonna get that out of us? Absolutely not. No, not at all. So much like I remember reading a book and I cannot remember exactly who it was, but it was like if somebody compliments your child and you immediately say something negative about them, understand that that's rooted in slavery. Like if somebody says, "Oh, your daughter's so cute," and you say, "Girl, she's bad,"
I'm
our
telling you,
slave slaves had to do that to make their
that's,
child undesirable. It's
that is
rooted in
so
slavery.
big and true. And you hear that so much. And not even like you just said, not even just with kids. I mean, adults, it is rooted in the Black community where if first of all, it's hard to give a compliment to another, but
Yeah.
then when the compliment is given by anyone, a lot of people come back with the negative instead
Yep.
of focusing and accepting that as a compliment. That is so true, which goes so far back. So it's so deeply embedded, and I know
Yeah.
I try my best to do my part as an individual to educate others on how that's not who we are as a people. Like, let's break these thought patterns and show people who we really are. Like, because we are a strong people. So let's show people who we really are. And we just have to get the mental part. Like, let's show our mental toughness. So I completely agree with you. What made you go on social media and start sharing your thoughts?
Well, originally, I I mean, still to this day, I do it as a journal. I homeschool three kids, and so the idea of sitting down for 30 minutes a day journaling just doesn't, it's not feasible for me at this point in time. So it's much easier to record a video that takes 1 minute and upload it. And that way I have record of my thoughts for the day. And then I started to see the amount of people that agreed and disagreed. And I ain't gonna lie, like I got a little bit of antagonizer in me, so I like the disagreement because
Of course.
I want to come back. I want you to know, like I'm challenging you on your belief systems, and so I enjoy it. It's originally it was used as a journal, but I see the liberation that it can bring. I see the conversations that it brings. I see the safe space that it has created when speaking about sexual abuse and things like that. And so I was just like, hey, I got to keep going.
Yeah, I do agree. And see, there you go again with the sexual. Now you didn't hit me with that one because that does happen, and that is something else that has happened in every community.
Yeah.
So I don't want to exclude anyone. And guys, I do tend to speak on the Black community more. I'm a people person.
Hmm.
I always tell anybody I gotta make sure that my people are good first because
Yeah.
I mean we are so far behind, and so my that is my goal is to heal us as
Yes.
people. So even when it comes to sexual abuse or molestation, that gets swept under the rug too. I mean that's a part of mental healing for the Black community too. And I know you had a clip that spoke on that. I think you said something, and then there was a gentleman which I was so happy to hear him speak on that. It was a clip I just looked at about that uncle that looks weird, and everybody protects him.
Yeah.
I know that happened or happens. I know it happened in the past, probably more, because now people are starting to speak up, and if you don't help me, I'm going to go tell the masses about it. So
Yes.
I mean, so because we have the internet now, so people will shout your tail out, not shout you out, they will call you out
Yeah.
online. But that is another thing that I believe the Black community has struggled with is mental abuse, and then I'm sorry, sexual abuse, and then we have kids, and that's another generational habit that just gets passed down because there was no therapy. Nobody talked about shit.
Yeah.
Sweep it under the rug. You okay, but don't say nothing because they gonna lock your uncle up and the police gonna beat the hell out of him because he
And you're
black.
gonna be responsible for it.
Exactly. So I mean, you just gotta suffer. So I do believe, that I'm glad that you have that safe space for others to come and be able to share what they're going through because that is exactly what I believe your page is. It's definitely a safe place. And I too am like you, like I like to be challenged. Like bring it on because I mean we can go head to head with it because when somebody's speaking facts, that's when you welcome the challenge because
Yes.
you know what you're speaking.
Yep.
Are you still religious?
Yes. Yes, as crazy as it is, I feel like I have deconstructed or I'm still in the process of deconstructing harmful theology, but I still believe there is something greater than me that orchestrates it all. I'm not exactly sure where I land on all of that, but um I very much do believe in God, in the universe. I very much do believe in a higher power. Yes.
So when you said you're deconstructing, what did you say you're deconstructing the
Harmful
theology?
theology.
So what does that mean? What do you, I know what it means. Tell everybody what that means.
Yeah, so I grew up in the church. I was I got ordained as a minister when I was 22. I was a youth pastor for 7 years. Yeah. And harmful theology. One thing that brought me to a screeching halt, and Sean, I just want you to hear my heart, okay? So I sat down with a pastor, and he told me that homosexuality wasn't necessarily a sin.
Mhm.
And from what I was taught,
Mhm.
oh, that is an abomination.
Worst. Okay.
It was the worst of the worst. They're
Right.
going to hell.
Right.
Right? Right? So, and I had nieces that were uh homosexual, they lesbians, and I'm praying for their mental health. I'm praying for them to be delivered. I'm praying for this. I'm taking them to the altar every chance that I get because they've got to come out of homosexuality. And he challenged me. He said, I want you to go in, I want you to look at the scripture. I want you to look up when the word homosexuality was put into the Bible, and you'll realize that it wasn't even put into translation until this time. And so I did my own research because I've always been kind of flexible in my belief. I've never been rigid.
Right.
So I've been flexible in my belief, and I looked it up, and the math wasn't mathing, right? And then I started to, if something, if some this truth that I've held so near to me, that homosexuality is a sin and that they need to be delivered. If I was wrong about this,
Mhm.
then what else am I wrong about?
Mhm.
And I would say about 90% of what I believed in church, in religion, and in theology was wrong. It never reflected the heart of God because it that would have to be a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day, because I can talk about that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, like how
Back to
wrong we
back
got.
conversation.
It's wrong. It's just, in my opinion, where I've landed, it's wrong on so many levels to dehumanize people, to strip them of their identity, to make them feel like they have to become something different than what God made them in order to belong to the God. It just don't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And so, harmful theology is that very thing, the thing that wants to separate you from your humanity in order to find the divinity when the divinity is already richly inside of you. And I cannot operate as a minister and tell people that they're going to hell if they don't change for an all loving God.
I know that's right.
It
I
don't make sense.
I love it. I love it. I even like the clip that you put, not like I love it. The clip you put about Jesus. Tell everybody that just can you spit that real quick? Because I like that too.
Which one was it?
40 days. No, when Jesus went into the wilderness.
Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights by himself. Who, how we know about that?
Exactly.
Did he go and tell them? Because then he told, so we are told a story about a story that they were told. If we are told a story about a story that they were told, isn't it subject to human fallacy?
Absolutely.
Couldn't, because we play a game of telephone right now, Sean, if I tell you something, I can guarantee you're gonna tell it different to whomever you talk to,
Mhm.
because it's subject to your perception. So the fact that we think that the Bible should be held as absolute truth is just absolute shit. It's just another thing that we could use on our journey. And
Right.
if we're using it to harm people instead of love people, then we're using it all wrong anyway.
That is so, so true.
So I had to deconstruct harmful theology. If I want to be a representation of God, I have to disconnect from the things that is harmful to us as a society. And me telling you that there's something wrong with you and you need to get that together, or you're not going to be loved by God, or you're not going to go to heaven. Hell no. That's bull. That's bull.
That's what's up, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Do you still go to church, or you kind of just are more spiritual, and not focusing on the religion part? Why you like?
Crazy thing is, my husband is a pastor.
Oh, your husband is a pastor.
My husband is a pastor. He is a
Wow.
deconstructed pastor. And when I tell you is the message is completely different than anything that um, is taught in the church. It's different than anything that is taught in the church. And a lot of people call us heretics. A lot of people call us, yeah, we're leading people to hell. But yeah, I can't worry. I can't worry.
I know that's right. Exactly. I interviewed a pastor who the same. Well, I've interviewed a couple. One was still a pastor, but was more, I guess, similar to your husband. And then there was another who was just he deconstructed Christianity, but he is completely does not believe anymore. It has just stripped everything from him. I mean, like I said, for me, I definitely believe in a higher power. It has there has to be. So I
Mhm.
just have that blind faith. I know that there's a higher power other than us,
Yeah.
of course. Tell me about what made you homeschool your kids.
So I am neurodivergent. I have ADHD. I might have a little bit of autism. I've tested a couple of times, and I mean, the tests that take tell me that I'm autistic. My therapist believes I'm autistic as well. But my children are also neurodivergent. So my oldest son is, I would say he's on the spectrum, but he's definitely got ADHD, and he also has anxiety, which usually comes with high intelligence. As a young kid, he's dealt with anxiety, and he went to this school. My brother did a 6 year bid in prison, and I remember going to visit my brother in prison and then dropping my son off at school. It was like the same exact system. It felt the same. The school to prison pipeline is so real, and if you don't believe in it, because it's very much real. So I dropped my son off at school and he hated it. He just wasn't, he didn't do well, but he tested very well. So they wanted him in the advanced classes, but he would also space out. So he would get in trouble for zoning out and not doing his work, but they wanted to reward him for the way he took tests. And he told me that he was put in isolation every day for lunch because he didn't finish his work. And he's 5. My son is 5, sitting in isolation every day for lunch, or he couldn't go to recess because he didn't finish his work. And then one day they had a active shooter drill, and he's terrified. He's 5 years old, right? Active shooter is scary. And the teacher came in and told him that if he cries, that a gunman will come in and shoot the class, and he would be responsible for it. And from there, he had signs of PTSD. I took him to therapy, but then I also realized that I was putting my 5 year old in the hands of people that were unhealed, untrained, and
Right.
did not know what to do, how to handle my Black child. And they treated him like an experiment. And I said, you know what? I got it.
I know that's
I
right.
got it.
And
Don't
that's what
worry.
it took. I don't blame you. I'm a big advocate for homeschooling.
Yeah.
I totally believe in it. And I do believe in exactly what you said. It's like being in the system, in a jail system. And share all of your social media information with everybody.
I am I'm just active on TikTok. Facebook is definitely more of a personal thing, is where I
Yep.
post pictures of my kids and stuff, and I wouldn't want that shared. That's like a family thing. But TikTok is Mikey J.
What is it?
Mikey J, Jhae. Okay.
Well, you promise to always spread peace and love in this world.
Ab- Absolutely.
I,
Absolutely. It's the highest calling.
there you go. I already know it. I really want to thank you for joining me. I love the person that you are and the energy that you have. I'm going to keep following you. And listen, I don't have millions of followers, but guys, whoever you are, follow this Black woman. When I tell you she is a truth teller, follow her. Let's
Thank
support
you.
this lady. All right, guys. Oh, you're very welcome.